Well, g'day guys. So I'm just packing for a trip for next week, and I just realised that I haven't actually done a gear loadout video this year. So I thought while I've got all my gear set up for next week's trip, I'll sit down and show you guys what I'm taking. It's pretty similar to what I take on most trips, though depending on the time of year and the location, sometimes I'll change out the shelter or my sleep system, but generally speaking, this is pretty much what I take on every camping trip. Now, it's definitely not an ultralight gear loadout video. While I do try and save weight where possible, like by using an ultralight backpack, I also like to take a few extra sort of creature comforts. Like I take a good fry pan, I've got my fishing rod as well as like some camera gear to film. So it's for me, I've got this kit pretty dialed in, and I've kind of found that balance between ultralight where I can, but also taking a few extra items that are sort of going to enhance my time out in the bush. So hopefully you guys you get some tips for this video. So what we'll do is we'll go through the backpack, and I'll show you basically how I pack the backpack and what gear I've got inside there. So to start with the backpack, this is actually a pack that I co-designed with the team over at Whipper, and this is a Colo 55. So we released this about a month and a half ago, and I'm super stoked with how this backpack has turned out. I'm absolutely loving it. So if you guys want to check it out, there'll be a link in the description below, as well as you can go to one of my last videos. You can see rundown of this backpack, but really stoked with how this thing carries, as well as just the capacity of it, and I think it's an awesome pack. So yeah, so on the outside of here, what I've got is my fishing rods. This is just a 4-piece travel rod. I think the brand is Nitro. And then on this side, I've got my water bottle. So I've got a stainless steel water bottle, as well as a stainless steel nesting cup. And I generally like to take a stainless steel water bottle, just because if you need to boil water, you don't, and like say your filter's broken or something, you can always boil water inside this. And this is a 750 ml nesting pot. So it's a good size to cook up your food. It's not too small, but also not too big. I find that to be a really good size. Now on the front of the pack inside here, we've got, which is actually a really cool feature of the pack, it's got this little removable pouch here, and inside there I've just got all my fishing gear. So I've got my reel, and just like a little tackle box, and a little knife and things like that. So I generally keep all my fishing gear inside that removable pouch, so that way when I'm out in the bush and want to go for a fish, I can just like take that with me. And that just clips in to these little corners just up here. Also in the front pouch, I've just got a shamag. So basically I use this as multiple things, but mainly when I'm cooking, I just like to lay this down on the ground, and that way I can prepare my food. And it's you're just acting as a bit of like a tablecloth essentially. But also when I'm laying around the fire, I sort of lay this out around the fire, and I can keep the dirt off my back. But also if I go for a swim, I can use this as a towel. It's quite a versatile piece of kit, this one. I've been using it for years, and I really love that bit of kit. Also in this front pocket, I've just got a little pouch here. This is a Kafaru pouch. And inside here, I've just got all my first aid kit. So I've got like my toothbrush, my toothpaste, as well as like a snake bite bandage, just some, ibuprofen and toilet paper and things like that. So I always keep that in the front of the pack, just so it's quick and easy to grab if I need it. On the back of the backpack, I've also got a little water bottle sort of sleeve just there. I also generally put my Garmin InReach just in there, so it's nice and handy to get to if I need to. On this side, I've got a capture, what's it called? A Peak Design capture clip, so I can put my camera on my strap when I'm hiking. And we open up the roll top. So generally at the top of the pack, I always keep my food. So I haven't got all my food for next week's trip, but I've got some bits and pieces in here. So lately I've been using a lot of off-grid meals. So there's an off-grid, this is a mango and passion fruit brekkie bowl. So it's like granola and stuff. So you just add water to that, and it's good little tasty brekkie. So yeah, I've been using a lot of off-grid recently. Also just some dog and gun coffee just got in here. But yeah, I generally keep all my food inside a cotton drawstring sack, just so if I am taking meat or fruit and veg, it just generally doesn't sweat when it's inside a cotton sack, whereas if you put it inside like more of a plastic bag, it generally sweats. So I usually like to keep my food in that. Also at the top of the pack is all my electronics. So I keep that inside this Cedar Summit pouch. And inside here, I've just got all my electronics. So I've got my Garmin GPS Maps 66i. So this is like a satellite communicator. I've just got 4 batteries for my Canon, Canon EOS R6 Mark II. And I've got some GoPro batteries, as well as my GoPro. I've got a LED Lenser MH8 head torch, which I've been using this for, 7 years now, and absolutely love this head torch. You can zoom in on it, and so I'm also waterproof, I believe, so it's a really good head torch. Also, for the power bank, I've got this new Nightcore 10,000 milliamp power bank. It's really small and thin. I've only used it a couple of times now, and so far so good. I've also got this aperture light, which goes on top of my camera, just so I can film at nighttime, as well as like a little Nightcore, what do you call that? Nightcore charger, so you can charge up my camera batteries and just plug that into the power bank. Also just got some little cloths just to wipe the front of the lens. Got some cables here, just to charge up all of my electronics. And I've got my chest mount, so when I'm going fishing, I can put my GoPro on my chest and I can get some good action shots. So that's all my electronics, which honestly weighs a ton. Things you do to make YouTube videos. And the next up, also in a Cedar Summit pouch, I've just basically got all my little bits and pieces. I've got my water filtration system in here, so I'm using a Sawyer squeeze, and you've got the syringe as well just to clean it out, as well as the Knock 2-litre water bladder. I find this combo, like this Knock 2-litre water bladder with this Sawyer squeeze, is an awesome combo. And also inside here we've just got a little steel scourer just to sort of clean up my pots and pans. Just a little microfiber towel just to clean up, once again, my pots and pans once I'm finished washing them up. I've got a Cedar Summit, I think this is the Alpha cutlery set, so it's a knife, fork and spoon. I've also got the handle that clips into my Cedar Summit fry pan, which I'll show you guys in a sec. A little roll of Gorilla duct tape, or Gorilla tape, so basically that can repair lots of things, but also you need to get the fire started when it's wet. You can also burn this because it burns really well. But I've used this so many times to repair like a hole in my sleeping mat, so it actually comes in handy, that stuff. I've also just got a little lighter with some Gorilla tape wrapped around it, so once again you can just peel that off and just light it. Get the fire started if you need to. And inside this little canister here, I've got some stormproof matches and waterproof matches. So I've never actually had to use these, but if I really need to get a fire going when it's really wet, then I can use these stormproof matches. Now I've also got this little bidet, which actually screws into like a water bottle. I haven't actually used it yet, but it's just a good backup in case I run out of toilet paper. I can use this little bidet. So like I said, haven't used it yet, but pretty keen to give it a go one day. And then here we've got a ferro rod. This is by Survival Supplies Australia. I think it's called the Dragon Breath. Basically, you can just use that to get the fire going. I generally have multiple ways to start a fire, just so if one thing isn't working, I can try another. Also got this little plastic vial here that's got some needle and thread in it, just to make any repairs. I've got a 10-meter hank of Dyneema cord. And this is a new addition to the kit, and this is a Soda Windmaster to screw onto my gas stove. So I've only used this once so far, and man, packs a pretty powerful punch, and it's got an inbuilt igniter as well, so that's pretty handy. And last but not least in here, actually you've got two things. I've got a little scourer, and then last but not least is one of my favorite pieces of kit, and this is my Benchmade bug out knife. So I absolutely love this thing. It is so light, I think it weighs around about 50 grams, and it's just a really nice knife. Super sharp as well. And so that's pretty much everything inside this little Cedar Summit pouch. And so next up we've got my clothes. And I got some new pants recently. And so these are by Fjallraven. I can't quite remember the actual sort of model of them. I'll put them on the screen. But they're zip-off Fjallraven pants. And they're really nice and lightweight, but also durable. And so far I'm absolutely loving these pants. As for the t-shirt, I actually don't use anything sort of particularly special with the t-shirt. This is just a cotton t-shirt by Academy brand. Like I do have merino wool t-shirts, but I don't like the fit of any of them. I always find them either too tight or too short. And so I generally just use cotton t-shirts, which I know is a big no in the outdoor world. If I'm doing like a snow trip, then I'll use my merino wool t-shirts, but generally just for most of the year, I'm just using a cotton t-shirt, which is, once again, not the best because it does get pretty like sweaty, but I just haven't found a really good merino wool t-shirt that's a good length and a good color as well. So I generally just use that. Inside here is basically all my sort of extras, clothing. So basically what I sleep in. So I've just got some icebreaker, the 260 merino wool leggings. So I usually sleep in that. I've got, this is actually a new addition to my kit. Laura got this for Father's Day. It's actually, I think it's lamb's wool, but yeah, it's a wool sort of long sleeve top. So yeah, I can either sleep in that or I can just sort of wear it around camp as well. If I'm not taking this, then I'm generally taking like a flannel. But once again, my flannels are cotton, so I need to get like a nice wool flannel. As for rain gear, this is a MacPack rain jacket. I actually can't quite remember the particular sort of model of it. I'll leave it on the screen once again, but I really like this rain jacket. It's really nice and lightweight. I think it's made out of Pertex. And also with the hood actually sort of folds up and zips inside the collar, which I think is like really handy, because sometimes when I'm wearing a hat and stuff and the hood just gets annoying. So yeah, it's good to sort of roll that up and put it inside the collar. So yeah, I actually really like this rain jacket. Now, as for my footwear, I've actually got quite a few sort of different options of footwear that I sort of cycle between. But for this trip, I'll probably be using the Scarpateras. I've been using these for years and they're really good boots. For boots, they're not too heavy, really durable. For the socks, I've got the Injinji, yeah, that's how you say it. Socks, you got the sock liner, as well as the merino wool outer sock, and that's a really good system to stop you getting blisters. But I actually did get some other boots recently. So I've also got these, what are they called? The Low Renegades. So I got these just before my last snow trip because these are nice and waterproof and they're good for the snow. But I also got these for hunting trips as well. They're really solid boots. Hey, they are a fair bit heavier than the Scarpateras. So yeah, they are pretty beefy boots, but like you can tell these things are going to last a bloody long time. So yeah, for snow trips, for hunting trips, and maybe some hiking trips, I'll see how I go with them. Yeah, I've got these Low Renegades. And also, if I'm doing like a trip where I might be crossing a lot of rivers and I don't have to take my boots off all the time, then I've got these Hoka and a Kappa Breeze. And I find these are good. I wasn't quite sure when I first started using them, but I've actually come to really like these. I've put some good miles on these so far, and like I said, they're really good when you cross a lot of creeks and rivers. You just walk straight through the water and they pretty much dry out pretty quickly. So yeah, these are really good for those like more ultralight trips or where I'm crossing a lot of rivers. I generally take these, but if I'm doing something a bit more off track, a lot of bush bashing, a bit more sort of bushcraft style trip, then I usually take my boots. And then lastly for my clothing, this is just my down jacket, which is a Patagonia high loft down jacket. I'm not even quite sure if they actually make this one anymore. I've had this for quite a few years now. And to be honest, a lot of the down in it has kind of compressed, so it's actually not that sort of lofty anymore. But yeah, I've used this for years and it's done the job so far. I might look into maybe getting another one soon, like a different kind of jacket. I've been looking at the Kuyu, the Pro Down hooded jacket, but they're always like sold out. So I've got to wait for the Kuyu ones to come back in stock, but in the meantime, that still does the job. And then next up in the pack, we've got sort of my cooking gear. So I've just got a little plastic chopping board and then a Cedar Summit plate and the Cedar Summit fry pan. So I've only just started using this recently. Prior to this, I've always used titanium fry pans, which I've managed to make work, but yeah, being titanium, you pretty much always burn your food. It's pretty hard to control the heat on a titanium fry pan, but this thing has been really good. It's like a non-stick coating, so I've actually been enjoying using this one recently. It is a little bit heavier than the titanium pans I use and a little bit deeper, but yeah, so far it's they're doing a pretty good job. And next up, we've got a little hand saw. So this is a Silky Gomboy 240, and it's a really nice hand saw. I've used this for years now, and you do have to be a little bit careful with them. The blade can snap pretty easily if you're a bit rough with it, but you can just buy replacement blades for it and change them over pretty easily. But yeah, they're a pretty awesome saw, these ones. All right, so as we move to the bottom of the backpack, we've got the shelter and the sleep system. Now for the shelter for this trip, I'm going to be using the Alton 3x3 meter tarp, and I'll also be using the Alton Walkabout swag. Now, if you guys have been watching this channel for a little while, you know that I designed this swag with the guys over at Elton, and it's been super popular. It's like sold out a bunch of times. I think it's been sold out most of this year as well, but I'm pretty sure it's just come back in stock. So if you guys want to get your hands on one of these bivvies, then definitely check out the link below. It's an awesome bivvy. Like, I'm obviously a bit biased since I designed it, but absolutely love this bivvy. I really think it's one of the best ones on the market. And when you combine that with a tarp, I think this is like a winning combo. Obviously, it's a little bit sort of bigger and maybe a little bit heavier than some of the ultralight sort of tents in the market. Quite often I'll use a Durston X Mid one as well as a Durston X Dome if I want to use a tent. But for this trip and for a lot of trips, I actually really enjoy using a tarp and a bivvy. Like I said, they are a little bit heavier and bulkier, but it's a bit more versatile. Like, if I'm just like stopping for lunch, I can easily just chuck up the tarp if it's raining just to get some shelter. Or if I don't want to sleep under a tarp at all, I can just sleep inside this bivvy and I can fall asleep looking at the stars, which is a really cool way to camp. So I find this is a pretty cool combo. Also, I find just sleeping under a tarp, it just connects you to your surroundings a little bit more than a tent does. Obviously, tents have their places, but depends what kind of trip you want to do. And for this trip, I want to do a bit more of a sort of wild camping kind of bushcraft style trip. So I'll generally, usually sort of take this kind of combo for that. Also, I'll just use a Alton ground sheet as well, just to chuck underneath the bivvy, just to stop any punctures in the bivvy. And lastly, for the sleep system, for this trip, I'm going to be using the Cedar Summit Ember -1 quilt. I've been using this for about a year and a half now, this quilt, and I absolutely love it. Like, it's a really well-made quilt. It's nice and light, it packs down small, and it's perfect for like the shoulder seasons, like in autumn and spring. It's like a perfect quilt for this time of year. As for the sleeping mat, I'm going to be using the Cedar Summit Etherlight XR insulated sleeping mat. I think it's got an R value of around about 4.2. So once again, it's perfect for this time of year. Honestly, I could probably get away for most of the year using this mat. I do have the Pro version, which has like a higher R value. I think the R value of that's like around 7. I'll use that for like the winter trips. But generally for most of the year, I'll use the Etherlight XR mat. And then last but definitely not least is the pillows. So once again, the Cedar Summit, these are Eros pillows. This is the Eros down pillow, and this is the Eros premium pillow. And I'm a bit of a softie these days, but I absolutely love sleeping with 2 pillows. Just for the sake of an extra 40 or 50 grams, you just get a far better sleep. So if you're someone who sort of always gets a bit of a sore neck, like you might be sleeping on your side like I do, I find just having 2 pillows just props your head up nice and straight, and you just get like 1,000 times better sleep. So honestly, cannot recommend having 2 pillows. I cannot recommend enough having 2 pillows. And and lastly, just inside this dry bag, I've just got just some cordage, just like some paracord and just bits and pieces, because when I'm taking my tarp, if I find like the trees are a little bit spaced apart too far, then I can always use some cordage just to tie the tarp up. Apart from that, so that is pretty much everything. Like I said, depending on what trip I'm doing, I might swap and change some things. Like I might take my Durston X Mid if I'm doing more of a hiking based trip. Or if I'm going snow camping, I might swap out my sled bag and a few extra clothes. But generally speaking, this is pretty much what I take on most camping trips. And I feel like I've got this pre-dialed in. It weighs around about 11 or 11.5 kilos, which I think is pretty good considering I'm taking like a fishing rod and like a saw and a fry pan and extra camera batteries and GoPros and stuff like that. 11.5 kilos, works for me, and I'm very comfortable carrying that kind of weight. So hope you guys got a few tips and tricks in this video. Gear is always very personal, so what works for me might not work for you guys, but hope you can walk away from this video with a few ways you can improve your kit. So I want to say a massive thanks to all you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Hooroo.